Hi everybody, this is Taylor Hamlin again from History Forge. We are going to be going over a new primary source today. As you can see, we have the primary source already nice and big and blown up. And if you could guess, I wonder what you think it might be. The big crazy hat right here and the people in their black and white outfits might be already a guess. But these are pilgrims. These are people who are coming to America, and they're not quite here yet because they're apparently signing a piece of paper on a boat, which is a very clean boat, despite being when? Oh, November 11th, 1620? How shocking. It is a very clean boat in the middle of winter on the ocean. I can't believe how clean it is. But we'll get into the myth in a second. So, we have a picture here today of these pilgrims coming over to America. I'm going to get out of my picture. This is the source notes for today. And if you're in my class, this is kind of a nice little milestone because we are now full circle. You guys are now gone through all of the 5 skills. You're gone through sourcing and corroboration and monitoring. I got this little thing right here. Yes, you've done all that. And you've done this. Good work. I'm so proud of you. We're now back to sourcing, and we're actually practicing sourcing skill number 4. So if you have your sheets and you want to look at it, you can, but it's right there. It is describe the audience of the source. So we're going to chat today about the audience. Here's a cool thing. Everything a human being does, they do for a reason. They make it for a reason, or they do something for a reason. So I'm going to find our source. There we go. I'm clicking away. And when human beings create something, again, they create it for a reason. So why did these painters create this picture? And if we look down at our source information, we have a couple of things. We have our title. It says the Pilgrims signed the compact on board the Mayflower, November 11th, 1620. Now think, what does the Mayflower mean to you? Do you remember it as being a boat that came to America? Because if you are, haha, you were right. It is the boat that came over to America. And it is actually the boat that carried some of the very first colonists of English settlers. So the people that started colonizing what would then be the United States. This is them. This is apparently them in this nice little picture of us. And if you're my students, you've actually already seen this picture, and you have already talked about it, and a bunch of other information, which I don't want to spoil quite yet. But if you go down too, you see this question and things like that. We've already done these things. We're not going to do them again. If you are a teacher who's using this source, you could easily use these questions. Feel free. But if you're my students, look at the picture. Take a real second to look at it. Pause my video, even though as much as you'd probably like to listen to my voice. Pause it. Zoom into it. I'll even zoom in for you, if I can find it. Haha, yes. Let's zoom all the way in. Look at this man's crazy hat. It looks like a pilgrim hat. How fun. And if you look at it, you might make some observations. Ooh, I got one. Look at these 3 guys. I'm pointing at them with my mouse. They're looking up. Almost like they're looking up towards a light. What would they be looking up towards? Well, I'm an historian, so I actually know. They're looking up at God. And because of that, we can kind of start thinking that, oh, these people must be religious. Because when they're looking up at, God or anything like that, we can kind of figure out that these people are believing that they're getting God's permission. Look at them. They're about to sign the Mayflower Compact. This idea that they're about to set sail, create a new colony. They're looking up at God. Notice, too, that they're all men. These men are looking up at God, and the women, for the most part, are looking towards them. You have this woman right here, this woman and her child, they're looking at them. This woman kind of looking at God. She looks kind of grumpy, though. Her child is, too. And we can maybe guess why. I don't know 100% know, but we can kind of even guess that these men are looking up at God. And that's my first observation. Now, here's the deal. We're trying to figure out who the audience of the source is, and I've made one observation so far. Who did this painter paint this for? What is he trying to make you feel by looking at this? So we have a bunch of people here who are coming from the very earliest colonists. They're coming to travel. They're trying to set up a new colony. Why are they doing this? Well, let's make some more observations. We know they're early colonists because they're closed, as you can see. And again, if you don't know these things, it's fine, but I'm just kind of showing you what this looks like. So we have, it looks like their clothing is pilgrims. So we can get that information. Good. Let's go back to it. Wrong one. There we go. So, what else do we have? The boat's very clean. I know I was kind of being silly about that earlier. I don't want that again. The boat is actually very clean. And again, you might be like, Mr. Hamblin, what's going on? You're making a lot of random observations. But you know what? That's what research is. Research is just kind of looking at things and trying to figure out most. Like, even like this, like, look at these two men right here. They are holding the quilt together. So, two men are holding the same pin. Let's go back into it. Again, I'm just making observations. I haven't seen this photo yet, so to me, this is just kind of the same as you. I'm just looking at things. You know what I noticed? People are touching each other. Look at this. A woman and man back here are holding each other. This woman's holding her child. This woman's holding her child. This man looks like he's holding her hand. So, people are holding each other. It seems as in comfort. No one looks really mad, except for this grumpy lady. She doesn't seem too pumped about anything. But everyone else kind of seems more focused, very, almost like in prayer. So we can maybe even like say that. See? I'm just making observations right now. And again, you might be like, Mr. Hamblin, what? Like, why is this important? Because here's the deal. These paintings are used in our national story. We use these paintings to try to figure out, like, what is America all about? Why is the United States what it is? Are we a Christian nation? Are we whatever? Like, there's a lot of different questions we can ask, and people like to say. And so using things like this painting, kind of helps us understand, like, maybe where we get our national story. And so making observations helps. I noticed right here, kind of where my mouse is, looks like it's a Bible, maybe? I'm going to say there is a book that appears to be a Bible. You know, and I think it's enough observations. I spent about 8 minutes on it. I think it's about what you guys could do. So if you're one of my students, or your student watching this, or your teacher using this for your students, these are the kind of observations I would expect. And here's the deal. They're very basic. They are not complicated. They are not things that anyone could really do it. It doesn't take a talented person to figure out, like, oh yeah, these people are touching each other. They're holding each other. And you might see that as very basic, but ask yourself, what does that mean? Why would a painter do that? Like, somebody created this. They did it for a reason. They just didn't willy-nilly, like, throw a bunch of people together. They painted it for a reason. So why did they do it? Well, we can make some judgments. And again, we're trying to figure this out. Describe the audience of the source. So, this is what I'm going to do based off my evidence. And again, I just did this. I did not look at it before. I'm just randomly doing this based off my observations. But because I'm coming up with an answer based off observations, it would count as a good score for questions or research. So, here we go. Describe the audience of the source. I believe the audience of the source are Americans because the painting is showing the first English people coming from, well, they're coming from England, so I'll have to delete that. People going to the Americas. Yeah? Sounds good? And then here's the deal. So that's my answer. That's my POQ. My POQ is, I believe the audience of the source are Americans. Simple enough. I go on to the next one, and I need to find some kind of evidence. And remember, all these observations would count as evidence. So, as for example, if I need to prove that these are people coming from America, I could say this. I know these people are going to America because their clothes look like pilgrims, and pilgrims came to America in the 1600s. Again, pretty simple, except for all my spelling errors that I had to fix. So that's all you would have to do. That is my evidence. That is my answer. That is my evidence. And I can keep going and going and going. So far I've said that the audience are probably Americans. But why are we using this? I could easily say that Americans want to have a national story that is ordained. Is kind of a complicated word, but I'll use it. Ordained or blessed by God. The painting seems to bless the Pilgrim's voyage because there is a Bible and the pilgrims are looking towards heaven. Okay, with me so far? So again, I'm using, at this point right here, I'll even highlight it, I'm using evidence from the photo. Now, I need to explain myself. I can't just like let that be. Like if I was your teacher, I would be like, what are you talking about? You need to use some kind of explanation. So here I go. I would say Americans want to have their country blessed by God because it makes them feel like their country is great. Again, makes sense. And here's the deal, though. So this is for Americans. We think we're blessed by God. Our country is supposed to happen. And that's kind of the explanation. It's the entire idea that America was discovered because of the grace of God or because we were supposed to. The colonies were graced by God. Western move, like the Western migration or manifest destiny. This idea that it's God's will to connect the two oceans. We talk a lot about that in American history. And you see a lot of art based off that. You see a lot of angels and gods and people looking up almost like this is on purpose. And here, I'll prove my point real quick. I'll just go to Google real fast and I'll type in manifest destiny painting and we'll see what we get. Yeah, look at this. See this painting right here of an angel almost guiding people towards the western area of the United States. This idea that we are almost destined to go west and it's God ordained. So you see this a lot in the United States. And so if I go back to my answer, wherever it is, there you go, this would be okay. This would be enough. This is exactly what you need to do. And that's all I really want to do for describing the audience of the source. I've described the audience. I've used evidence, and that's all I really want you guys to do. So take this information, try to apply it to your other sources, try to figure out, like, who is this picture meant for? Like, who is this picture meant for? Is it supposed to make Americans feel good about themselves? Like, what are they trying to do? And that's all you really can do, okay? So, that's the painting. That's all we're going to do for today. That's sourcing. If you have questions, ask your teacher. Ask me if you're one of my students. Otherwise, that's it. Thanks for stopping by. Have a great day. Bye.